There were 20 feudal states or dynasties which built along the walls during this period of history, and in total 5,000 kilometers. Very cleverly colorful map. Great Wall sections. Bronze arrowheads. Bronze belt loops. It's interesting. The chisels that may have been used to make a lot of what we see. These are called dagger axes. They're bronze. They work like a sai, so I'm sure they can slice as well as puncture. Qin Shi Huangdi, the emperor who built the army, also began the Great Wall. He was very much a tyrant, only lived 21 years, but tremendously powerful. He was extremely demanding with a very precise set of behaviors and the punishments for failure to live to those behaviors. Another display of bronze arrowheads. These are fluted, or at least multi-edged. Some coins. And a bronze gauge cube of Qin dynasty. So that was for measuring volume. A couple of bronze ornaments of the Huns, H-U-N-S. This a bear-shaped one. Interesting, these are chariot bushings for the axles, I'm sure. This was another form of coin, in addition to the circular ones that had either square holes, like that one, or round holes, like, well, that has square holes too. Here's the metal mechanism of their, I think crossbow is the term we use. These were lamps, presumably they put some kind of oil in there. Couldn't have burned very bright, must have been smoky, I would think. This is a big photo of a deteriorated Great Wall, plus an example of how it actually looks. Very, very clever, very well done. But you can see there that it's eroded in the center over time. Probably because people walked down the center. It was most vulnerable from rain sitting on it and soaking down, and it just wore out. So this was a weapon. My friend tells me it was probably at the end of a chain or something, and it was swung around. Probably something like European maces also. I'm not sure what this depicts, because here there are what look like two simple standard walls with a moat in front of each. Maybe they were a precursor of the wall. But there's some kind of a tower. Or maybe this design was used on relatively flat land. Since the first wall would have been a considerable barrier to get horses over. Because it looks like if that was a doorway, it was a fairly tall wall on its own, probably 8-10 feet. And then they had to come up against another moat and another even taller wall. It's interesting how the weapons of all cultures seem to be very similar. So this points out that starting in 1368, the Ming dynasty that took over after the Yuan dynasty, ceaselessly for the next 276 years, built the Great Wall to try to hold back the northern tribes that were always probing. This diorama depicts the Ming Great Wall. An incredible achievement when you think about it. But particularly when it's alleged by some that it was ineffective. That may be a very quick judgment. The fact that it was breached only twice may in itself say a great deal about how much of an intimidation this was. It may have served in the same way that the Atlantic Ocean served to protect the United States until the advent of transatlantic planes and missiles. Okay, this is a stone mortar. It looks exactly like the thing we saw earlier today. And this apparently is a pestle. It's in settings like this that the wall looks to be most practical, in the sense that it would be easy to ride horses across a flat area like that, unless you were confronted by a wall like this. The hills become more pragmatic for the attacker as well as the defender. This is an array of cannon, apparently rock cannonballs, but these are apparently cement cannon, are not cement but stone. These probably look like howitzers, but I guess you still call them cannon. Of course, as the inventors of gunpowder, no surprise that they should have evolved many types of cannon with the materials that were available at the time. This battle near Shanhaiguan in 16 against a northern attacker was successful. On the other hand, in the Tumubao crisis in 1449, the attackers came on, and the chief eunuch, Wang Zhen, of the Emperor Ming Yingzong, personally talked the emperor into taking 500,000 troops against the Mongols. And in the battle, his force was destroyed. He was captured and held in captivity. It would be too easy to make a joke about vice and battle of a eunuch, so I won't. This next display is interesting. Offensive and defensive devices used. This is called a net device, but it's for spying. Apparently it was high enough that you could raise it up over the wall and look outside of it. Apparently you could move this towards the wall, raise that small building up and peer into and over the wall to see what you were encountering. A hung-shaped vehicle. It looks like it was some kind of a catapult. But yet this armament does not go through all the way through. In fact, it's stopped by these posts. I have no idea how it would work. This was an offensive vehicle that could carry men up to the wall with some. And this was a vehicle, somehow. These devices hung from the wall, along the wall. They probably rolled along it, in fact, and could hit different men that were trying to climb the wall. That's defending sword. Well, apparently you just ram this up against the gate, and if they break through the gate, they got to get through the swords. And this is a projectile throwing device, but it's hard to see how it works. It's obvious for climbing over the wall. Presumably that's the projectile. It's interesting, it's hollowed out. You wonder if they had something inside that could cause it to explode. Small cannons, these are